This has changed my world. Another looper pedal. This one has 2 foot switches, a screen, onboard storage, and no faffing about with submenus. Let's see if the FF01 from Flamma is any good. So inside the box you get another box. Well, that's the sleeve and the box. Then open that up. You get a USB-C to USB Vintage. That's not USB Vintage, USB Standard. Going to accept some people there. Then there's the pedal. We'll take a look at that in a moment. You've got the quick guide. We like the quick guide. You've got a sticker. Very basic sticker. And you've got a standard warranty card as well. And what's that in there? It's got to be a power supply, right? Yes, that is a power supply. For some reason, I think that's Australian. Let me know in the comments. Is that Australian? Right, pedal. It feels very lightweight. It's made of plastic. I'm amazed at how light that is. And when I say plastic, I don't mean like some cheap plastic. It feels like pretty hardcore plastic. If there is such a thing. Right, on this side we have the inputs. Then over there must be the outputs. And then on the top, that is USB-C for dragging files back and forth from your computer. 9 volts, 200 milliamps, and a headphone out. A headphone out. That's very interesting because there's no amp simulation or anything in here. I will put that to use in this video, I promise. But for now, let me explain how it works. When you power up the FF01, you are greeted by a very 80s green screen and this little hello light, which does other stuff as well. We've got 2 knobs, which are also pushy buttons. On the left, this will select your slot. There are 40, of course. Pressing that will take you to the next option. Do you want 1 shot on or 1 shot off? And then the fade out, you can have up to 5 seconds. On this screen, that will just do volume of the loops. We can go down to minus infinity, and all the way up to plus 6 dB. And we'll put that back at 0, so I don't forget that later on. There. Press it again to exit out of that. And then when you hold this button down, you can save your loop to slot number 1, which we've got selected, and I can say yes. There it saves. And then if I want to delete that, I can press delete. Yes. Oh, it's not slot 1, it's slot 2. It was empty. I will be using this with my feet in a moment, but let's just go through the fingers. The foot switches are soft touches, they're not hard clicks. The guitar in this video is the Crafter Creamer S. It's an HSS Strat type. It's about 500 bucks. I reviewed it. There's a card there if you want to go and watch that review at some point. On the board, I've got my Peterson tuner, the Drop from Digitech for some down-tuned possible bass lines in a bit, the SD1 from Boss for some drive, there's the FF01 for looping, and after the looper, I've got the Big Muff op amp. And that pedal board is going into my Fender Deluxe Reverb. If you want to see the rest of the signal chain, have a look at the video description. All the pedals are off. I'm just going to set up a clean loop into the Fender Deluxe Reverb. With this is going to start the loop recording, and that's going to play back. Here we go. No, it isn't. I'm going to have to move this SD1 over. I can't quite get my foot in that little gap. Hold on. That's down to me because I've got massive feet, and most people should be able to use this properly, unless you're a giant like me. Right, clean loop, no pedals on, volume backed off a little bit, neck pickup. Going to engage the loop recording with this left button and then play that back with the right button. aside from not being able to get my foot in the gap that I'd done myself, it works fine. I'm a little bit confused as to which foot switch does what though. I'm very used to having that as play and record, and this is set up slightly differently. So if I hit that to play, it will actually play and do overdub at the same time. So that's actually very useful. Aha! Right, if you hold down the button on the right, it undoes the layer you've just added. Now, if you are new to looping, I'm sorry for jumping straight in, but I'll explain. A loop is a continually looping recording that I've done with the pedal, and then you can add another layer on top of that. And as with many loopers, with the FF01, you can add unlimited numbers of loops. And this is a basic looper, and it doesn't try to shy away from that. It doesn't pretend to give you lots of features for a low price. And that is a definite benefit of this, because I've got other loopers like the Ed Sheeran one, which is featureful and expensive, but sometimes you just want something basic. It's not as basic as if you just had one foot switch, like say the Ditto, but I'm a big fan of having 2 foot switches, so I've got just enough versatility. So although I like the functions of those 1 foot switch loopers, I would always take a 2 foot switch for playing and stopping, which is why I'm confused about this one, because it is set up slightly differently to the ones I'm used to. Right, I'm going to save this to the memory and see if we can recall it on the computer later. So how do we do that? We save. I hold down that one. It's going to say save, yes please. There. So it says stored now. Oh, that's cool. Can I change that to a one shot afterwards? Whoops. Hang on. Now play. No, I cannot. What is the one shot thing? Let's change to patch 2 by doing that, and let's put the one shot to on and have a fade out of 3 seconds. Right, I figured it out. Oh, that's cool. I've just learned something. Right. If you press the one shot, when you press stop, it will continue until the end of that loop and then stop. That is very cool. I feel a bit dumb now. There are probably loopers out there, many loopers that do that I've never used before. This has changed my world. I wish I'd had this back when I was using the Akai head rush. So it means you don't have to be near your pedal. You can go, right, let's do a long loop and then press it, go away for, how long can the loops be? 4 minutes. And then it can end on its own. And we can add a fade out to that. This is exciting. Fade out. Let's just do a 1 second fade out for the sake of the video. And play. Oh. Oh, that just fades it out straight away. What? Hang on. I see. So the fade out overrides the one-shot ability. I have to say that the manual that comes with this does not explain everything, which is why I'm doing this part of the video, and maybe we've just made a discovery together. That's super exciting for me. Unless you wanted to stop a loop at exactly some point, that's brilliant. Right, let's rock and put some bass over it. Let's do a bass loop. amazing fun. You might have seen at the end that I undid all those layers. I was just trying to see if it undid one layer. It didn't. It undid everything. And now with the danger of deleting everything, I'm going to try and get that back. There are some things I'm doing and not explaining. You can delete stuff by double tapping, holding down or double tapping? Double tap to stop. Hey? Double tap to stop that still. That's odd. That's why the one shot's cool. With the fade out. Wow, okay. I must have knocked that fade out knob with my foot. That's a minus point for me and for the looper. Let's change that back. Right, I've got it. If you have the one shot turned off, you press the right button one time to stop the loop. So play. And stop. It's a lot of reverb on there. Let's kick that down for a little bit. If you have the one shot turned on, you need to double kick that. So let's turn it on. And that will stop it immediately. I dig that. If you're into loopers, you probably know this already. I didn't know that about one shots. That makes so much sense. Let's do some sound tests because the FF01 runs at 44.1 kilohertz and 16-bit recording. I'm going to do that by introducing this distortion pedal. Now what I'm looking for is the difference between what I play live and what is recorded and played back. There might be nothing, it might be instantly noticeable. I hope you're not listening on a smartphone. I hope you are listening on a smartphone and you comment that there's no bass in the sound, because those always make me chuckle. It might be different to you in YouTube land or wherever you're sitting right now, but to me it sounds the same. There was no noticeable difference. That's what we're aiming for. There's also no noticeable added noise, which I have had in some of the cheaper loopers. There's nothing there. That's a normal amount of noise that I have in this room from the tube amp. Right, let's save that and then hook it up to the computer. So, hold that down to save. Yes, please. And time to get my little PC. I'm going to use the included USB-C cable into my MacBook Air, but I'm told this works on Windows as well. There we go. That goes in the back somewhere there. There it is. Into the MacBook. That shows up in Finder as FF01, and there's a TEM folder, which could be temporary, I don't know. And then Wave, which has some waves in it. So W01 must be the first loop that I have recorded. So I could then save this file to my Dropbox or wherever, save it somewhere and back it up. Or I should be able to import stuff from other things. So we could trade loops. You could send me some, and I could loop them through my other pedals. If you want to do that, if you have a Flamma pedal or something that has 44.1 kilohertz at 16 bits, feel free to let me know. Contact me on Instagram would be the best one. Yeah, I've got some loops from somewhere else. I've got some drum loops here. I wonder if that would work. I don't know if this is going to work, but I wonder what happens if I replace that with a drum loop. Or maybe I should just put it in its own W03. W03. Put that there. Oh no. There. We have to match the file name. Wow, this is nerdy. There it is, W03 record 3. Let's now disconnect that from the Mac and see if I can play it through my amp. Right. What happens there? 5, 6, 3. It says something is stored there. Is it going to play it? Let's see what happens if I press play. That was surprisingly easy. I really didn't think that was going to work. Brilliant. Right, well that's how you do that. You can buy some drum loops or make some drum loops and put them on your looper pedal and have a drum machine in the pedal because the looper doesn't have a drum machine built in. It's nice and simple. I am pretty shocked that was that easy. Let's have a listen to what comes out of the headphone socket. Let's bring in an amp sim for this. The guitar's now going through the tuner, through the drop, through the ACS1 amp simulator. That's going into the looper. I'm coming out of the headphone socket into this mixer, which is being recorded on my phone. This is what it sounds like. So I now should be able to record a loop with this. Let's change that to a non... There we go. Empty 4. I can record a loop using this and coming out of the headphones with that one. I'll be honest, I couldn't hear that very well through these headphones, so it was possibly out of time. But that's what it sounds like when it comes out of the headphones. And that's so useful if you do go through, like if you're recording social media videos, you can, or live stuff, you can loop things live, you can record them out. You can also go through the amp and go through that headphone socket at the same time. I think. Got to test that now. I can hear it through the headphones. Yes, you can. Confirmed you can go through headphones and the amp at the same time. So you could even take your signal somewhere else. You do have to watch the levels of the lines though. Right, final verdict on the FF01. So who's this for? If you are after a loop station that is extremely powerful, has lots of menus, lots of capabilities of turning things on and off, this is not for you. If you want something to just record your ideas, back them up to a computer maybe, go live, put layers on, run in stereo, this is perfect. And it's way under 100 bucks. It's a, I guess the plastic enclosure is part of the way they're saving money. But in fact, I'm going to do it. Does it still work? Let's find out. Oh, I'm so nervous. It does. Okay, I didn't drop it on this side, to be fair, but nowhere's that damaged. Oh, God. The thoughts that go around in my head. I think it's perfectly serviceable and usable for most people. No, there's no MIDI, there's no tempo sync, there's no effects that you can add to the looper and reversing, stuff like that. You can undo all the layers as far as I found. You can't undo just one layer, and there's no advanced control or switching. You also can't rename the loops or anything and change the titles with these buttons, which could have been cool. But I will give all that away to have this at the price that it is. This is a fantastic looper, and if you want something that is fairly small, I mean that's boss pedal sized, but you need more than just that one switch, this is the one. If you want to get one of these yourself, there are links in the video description and in the first comment. And speaking of comment sections, that's where I'll be most of the time. See you down there. Bye-bye!